Happy Friday. Officially, finally, we're here.
It's Friday. What's that? Oh, isn't that a Rebecca Black
Friday
song?
again.
Back in in the late 2000s, there was that Rebecca. Yeah, the very famous one. Good morning, Nicholas. Happy Friday.
Good morning, Morgan, and good morning to all of you guys. Thank you for joining us for the B2B Power Hour. And today, I think we have to start with the question of the day.
The question of the day.
So, what is the question of the day?
So it's a really deep one. I'm not sure. Hello, everyone. By the way, jumping into the comments, if you're here, make sure to drop a hi. I see a bunch of people here. Yes, today is a LinkedIn profile extravaganza. We're going to be jumping in and reviewing people's profiles. Nick, question of the day.
Let's get this. Let's take this real simple.
What's your preferred night out? Not night in, night out. If you go out with friends, and everybody in chat, I want to see some answers to this in chat. What's your preferred night out? Do you do something crazy? Do you go to a local brewery, or do you want to go to an art museum, or like what's your favorite night out?
That's funny. That's where I was going to ask 5 to 9.
Oh, nice. Yeah, what's your
Steal
5
it
to
from
9?
Alice. I know what you do 9 to 5. What do you do 5 to 9?
Mm-hmm.
What's your go-to activity when you just want to relax?
All right. What's your go-to favorite activity when you want to relax? That's a great question of the day.
Bonus points if anybody knows mine.
Yeah. Do I know yours?
I would think so.
Is it drink beer?
I was going to go make beer, but
okay.
I feel like in order to make good beer, you have to appreciate good beer, and the market research is very, very important.
It's so important to do market research. Do you do a lot of market research? Daily market research?
Before we used to go out a lot, and it was hard to go and find breweries that had enough selection because you'd have to try enough stuff beside each other in order to categorize it. Like that good, better, best.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, you get to a certain point where it's like, I know what I want to brew. I know what I like to drink, so you don't go too crazy. But tasting room in New Orleans.
I see a lot of great answers. I would say my preferred relaxing activity is a book at the park. We have I live near a nice urban park here in Denver, and I like to go there with a nice blanket on a nice day, sit out, read a book for a while, maybe have something to drink. But I see some amazing answers thrown in through all of our chat today. So Nick, we got a lot of submissions for this one.
Yeah.
A lot. So congrats everybody who's here. If you had commented on Nick's post to get your profile review, you are going to get a profile review. We are going to do our very, very, very best to get through as many today. It is an extravaganza that have already been submitted. And if we don't get to yours today, you can expect a follow-up from us in a post or in a DM with a review of your profile, because we want to make sure we get to everybody who said, hey, we needed help. But by my count, there are at least a few dozen profiles for us to get through. So before we get in, Nick, what makes a good profile on LinkedIn? What's the structure
I want to take a step back.
Yeah.
And so when we talk about why does it matter? So why do people use LinkedIn, especially when it comes to business and sales? Why do they use LinkedIn? Well, it's a great place to go and connect with your audience. And right now, with all the new phone hardware and software that's coming out that pre-screens your calls if they're not in your phone book, or email deliverability being an all-time low, what do you do? So people are going to LinkedIn and they're sending connection requests and they're taking their sales digital. Well, an easy way to know if your sales going digital is working or not is your connect rate. And a lot of people don't track this, so they don't actually know it's a problem. And the golden number is 30%. So if you're getting below 30% connect rates, it's your profile. When you get above 30, between 30 and 50, that's messaging. That's different. We're not going to talk about that today. We'll definitely save
Mm-hmm.
that for another show because it's super critical. But we kind of want to have this master class of how to get to at least 30%. And me and Morgan tested this extensively
I was
and
about to say
failed miserably
miserable
for
experiments.
months and
Uh-huh.
weeks and like trying different things. And so if you find that people are assuming you're trying to sell them something, if nobody's connecting with you, if the conversations aren't carrying on, then it's just following flat, it's probably your profile.
Mm-hmm.
And so the funny irony is, and even talking to tons of recruiters in the last little bit, it's kind of fun to flip a recruiter from trying to recruit you to trying to get information about LinkedIn profiles. Just side note, but they only really look for one main thing. Of course, they're going to go through your experience and see if
Mm-hmm.
they can justify the job that, the company hasn't been around for 5 years and they want 10 years experience. But that's a story for another day.
Yep.
Is they want you to pass the 3-second test.
Mm-hmm.
Do you pass the 3-second test? And the 3-second test is all about when I show up to your profile. Do I know what you do? So when we're going through these profiles today, I really want you to ask yourself in 3 seconds or less, looking at their profile picture, looking at their tagline, and looking at their banner, do you know what you do? Because if you fail that test, they will not go further into your profile.
Mm-hmm. There's no reason to scroll.
And so I want you, if you guys are listening, if you're watching, I want you to reach out to these people and I want you to give them constructive feedback. I want you to tell them one thing that they did really well. I want you to tell them one thing that they could do better. And you can even start by throwing it in the comments and you're welcome to tag them.
Mm-hmm.
The key is being respectful and it's constructive. One
Mm-hmm.
thing they did really well, one thing that they could do better. Morgan, so after we pass the 3-second test, what happens? What's next?
We scroll. We scroll down
Hmm.
their profile. We learn more about them. You get a connection request from somebody and their tagline and their profile is okay, it's blank. You're like, who is this person? You click, they pass the 3-second test. So you scroll, and what do you see? You see maybe a featured section and you see an about section. And today we are going to be evaluating profiles as if they are social sellers, as if they're using LinkedIn for social selling. So if you are positioning it, if there are exceptions to this, we'll try and catch it. But if you are positioning your profiles to be a job hunting profile, the rules are a little bit different about what you include in your about section and how you position your profile. But if you're using LinkedIn to sell or to connect with target accounts, there's different ground rules we'll go through today. But most importantly, when you scroll, you have a featured section, which are calls to action for people to do something, a reason to click, not just and maybe we'll see some, not just necessarily your most popular posts, but a reason to bring them off platform. And then your about section is a chance to do a lot of things. It's to tell a story. It's maybe an asynchronous pitch. It's driving them to some sort of action. So all of these things together we've called the profile funnel. You're driving
Hmm.
somebody to action based on your profile. And it has to be really clear what that action is. Otherwise, people won't take it, right?
Absolutely. Uh, I kind of want to save the other tidbits for when we get in because I want to
Sure.
show you guys. Me and Morgan will actually show you. Let's get in the trenches. Let's
Mm-hmm.
show you what good looks like, what better looks like, what the best looks like. And so that we can go and upgrade our own profiles. Because the hardest part about writing a good profile is knowing where to start. And if
Mm-hmm.
we can show you a few examples, that's what made it a lot easier for us. So, you guys ready? Ready to
I'm
jump
ready.
in?
I'm ready.
Okay.
So, first up today, Alejandro Alva, an account executive at On Top, SaaS sales business development based out of Peru, and has this cover that says, "We believe in a world without borders." Nick, what's your 3-second test?
I actually really like On Top's
Mm-hmm.
background. I like that they use a color to make their pop. And I notice everybody with their profile pictures, they're all smiling. And we've learned that smiling has a huge difference on connect rates.
Huge
So,
in our own experiments. Yeah.
and now tagline AE at On Top. So they added social proof with the YC
Uh,
W21. So if you know
mhm,
what that means, then you'll go for that SaaS sales business development. But my question is, do your customers care?
mm,
Do your customers even know what Y Combinator is?
mhm,
That might add credibility to small businesses, potentially if they're seeking their seed or Series A,
mhm.
maybe later. But think of who you're targeting and what is that message? What is that problem statement? What is that category? We believe in a world without borders makes me think, oh, you guys are doing either recruitment or helping people get paid or like something remote. That's really cool. So, how does your tagline support that? How does it carry that to something that it's like, okay, I know you're trying to sell me something, but right now I don't know what you're selling me.
Yeah. I I couldn't have said it better. I think this tagline, it's fine to have AE it on top. I think you'd use that space to articulate something else about the value you provide, the category that you're in, what you post about, what you talk about. Because right now I take a look and I'm like, oh, this is interesting. I may say connect, but I'm not going to scroll. Um,
And,
Probably.
and if we look at the people also viewed, so
Hmm.
more people out on top, okay. Our friend Landon at Nooks,
At
okay.
Nooks. Yep.
And then if you look at, I just want to go and point this out, Morgan, go up a little bit.
Yep.
Providing services, lead gen, negotiation, and customer service.
Hmm.
Why? Those are all three very different things. So are you a coach? Are you working for a company? Do you have a side gig? What's the priority?
Hmm.
So are you trying to sell me on your main gig or are you trying to go in kind of what type of content are you going to create? Where's the value?
Hmm. Hmm. And then we have featured. Um, so I see a couple probably popular posts that you've posted. It's great to have these, but if you are prioritizing traffic from your LinkedIn profile to get to on top or some sort of landing page, this is the place to put it. Because if somebody is intrigued, they can scroll down and then they can immediately click something here in your featured section to bring them off platform to learn more. And
Absolutely.
activity. So I've seen, and this is fine if there's irregular posting, but as you'll see, it shows up. So one day ago, a month ago, a couple months ago, even if it's just a post once a week, it helps keep this fresh because this profile, as we saw, actually, I don't see any hashtags, but I believe it's on creator mode, will only show your posted posts. So you want to keep those fresh, throw something out. I love all of the content in Spanish. I'm sure that reaches your audience, particularly for those of you who are engaging out here, not just in English language LinkedIn. Um, and then about, shall we take this?
Sure. Constantly working on improving my craft and becoming a better version of myself.
Hmm.
Why?
I mean, their personal and professional goals. It's good. I think directionally, this is good lingo. I like the strong interest here. But if you're able to use LinkedIn for prospecting, this isn't going to tell your prospects all that much about you or the company that you're at. This is great as sort of a quasi objective statement on a resume. And it's adds some personality, but I'm sure there's a way to modify this and tell a better story about your current role on top, especially if you're using LinkedIn to prospect.
I think we'll have to move on and wrap this up. But if you look at the experience is written as a digital resume,
Mm,
and
hmm.
so it's a natural evolution. You start as a digital resume,
Hmm.
and then it turns into a sales page, and then you turn into a resource center. It's kind of the natural good, better, best. But if you look at the 3 second tests that we talked about up top, and then we come down to the about, they're disconnected.
Hmm.
This stories sell. Tell your story, own it.
Hmm.
And right now, it's kind of chunked. And so it doesn't have that natural flow that gets people like, oh my God, I really need to contact this person. I really want to get to know this person. I really want to follow this person.
All right. Ready for the next one? Thank you, Alejandro, for submitting for a review. Off. Ready for the next one?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Forgive me as we go through a list real quick. We're just operating all the way down. George Suarez, founder at OpenBox.ai.
Ooh, I love
I
the
love this.
banner.
Yeah, the banner's a
Clean.
banger. Hmm.
The image, I can't really tell just because of the size of your screen if it should be zoomed in a little bit. And if he has a
Mm.
smile,
So he does have a smile, but I agree this photo should be cropped in closer to his face.
okay, and then founder at open box.
Hmm.
So that adds credibility who you're reaching out to. Founder suggests small. And depending on the size of companies you're targeting, founder will actually be off-putting because they're assuming you're founder-led sales, so they won't connect with you. So just something to consider. If you're SMB, no problem. If you're getting into mid-market enterprise, you're going to want to go and change that a little bit to change the terminology so that you're of equal status with your title. And if we look at people also viewed,
Hmm.
we got project managers,
Got
customer
Rosalind, excuse me.
success. Yeah. So you got, it sounds
Tom,
like there's
Len,
a
and
lot of
Steven.
variety, and then you're getting into, then there's some good ones on the bottom there.
Hmm.
When you have a lot of variety, then people don't know how to categorize you. And if you're not getting categorized amongst your peers, you're not getting seen amongst the right people. So it's always a good gut check to go to the people also viewed. Don't look at it every week. Look at it maybe like every couple weeks or a month
Hmm.
to see if you're moving in the right direction.
I will say right now, this probably passes the 3-second test because your banner is so strong. But really working on this tagline or adding maybe a little something about the category you're in will help your profile when you're engaging elsewhere because it's sort of clear it can communicate this, but inside the headline in a little different way, which will encourage profile views and people to engage. So if we,
Pretty good hashtags too. I don't know if all of
Mhm.
those are high volume. Sales enablement's a good one.
I'm
I don't.
sure
I don't know if outbound
outbound
rules is
is
that.
outbound sales may not be. Yeah, it's
Because
a good
if you're
question.
doing SaaS, then it's SaaS sales or SaaS marketing.
Hmm.
Startup, maybe. So that tells me you're the smaller company, so the founder might work, but just something to consider.
Yep. Again, huge opportunity here in your featured section to talk about OpenBox. Add a link to landing page with some marketing lingo on a headline. It's great to have your posts here, and I love the engagement that this shows. And I also love in your activity feed, it's clear you're active out here on LinkedIn. You're
Very.
posting, you're building a community, which heck yeah, man, that's awesome. But really, right at this point, somebody scrolls. Here's what we have to think about. Somebody hits your profile and it's like, oh, openbox.ai. Right now, if they scroll and they scroll and then they scroll and then how do they get to their site? They have to click your little logo, then they have to click the link on your company page. Give them the opportunity here to link to your company so they have easy access.
Yeah. And one of the featured was
Oh,
a good
sorry.
social proof.
Hmm.
I would just put that over to the right and I add one that either gives you access or goes in access to your website or sales. Good.
Agreed. Do you want to move on to the next one or do you want to talk about the about?
Uh, I can't really see it. What is there anything you want to say about the about section without me like sticking my face right into the camera?
I think it's good, but I think I would take this opportunity to tell the story about OpenBox.ai if you're the founder and CEO here. This is great for telling your story, but this is an opportunity to get people interested in your company. So you should use the space to do so.
Okay, I just made my screen bigger. Yeah, problem statement. Nearly 5 years
Hmm.
I've researched user behavior and product fit to develop sales strategies to build pipeline. Why?
Hmm.
What's the problem statement, the intriguing part before that that makes that relevant?
Hmm.
Because people want to like connect with it first. It's annoying, but it's true.
Agreed. Agreed.
Okay,
Agreed. All right.
next.
Next, we're working down the list. Laura Barnett, US sales at Heyday.
If I was a brand strategist at Heyday, I'd love this because it's all to brand, but it tells me absolutely nothing.
Hmm.
So unless I know who Heyday is, if I know who Heyday is, great. If I know who Hootsuite is, great. So what is Heyday to Hootsuite?
Hmm.
I I wouldn't I think you have a great profile picture. I
Hmm.
wouldn't say that this passes the 3-second test because it's unless I know who Heyday is, I have no idea who you are.
Agreed. I don't mind the US sales at Heyday, but I would add something about Heyday here. And like, I would see if marketing has some collateral to change the um, cover photo to tell a little bit about what it is.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that stands out to me about this, which is fine when you're first getting started, is you'll want to hit that 500 connection mark, 500 plus connection mark as soon as possible if you're using LinkedIn to prospect, because it demonstrates that you're active out on the network. So when somebody comes to your profile, if you're using it to prospect, they're going to see this, and there's some weird snap judgment people have about that. That's like, oh, they're new or they don't know what they're doing, which is not necessarily true, but it is a perception that other people have. And so, in order to manage that perception, it's best to get to your 500 connection mark as soon as you can.
And looking at the people also viewed kind of shows that people don't
Hmm.
know how to categorize you. They put Valentina in there,
Hmm.
who is a rock star and has a different heyday right up. But this,
Hmm.
there you go. If you go look at all the people that you're being compared against, are you in the right category? If you're not, it's another sign that you missed the 3-second test.
Yep. Agreed.
Okay.
Um, Love the content activity. I like the featured here, but again, opportunity to put something about Heyday inside your featured section, especially if it's a particular landing page for US sales, like throw it in right there. Um, and otherwise, finding an opportunity to keep posting on LinkedIn helps show that you remain active out on the platform. One thing I don't see is an about section.
Yeah.
So I would work on that. I would find a way to tell a story about yourself and your role, even if you're new to it, and be able to, capture stuff about. I don't know. That was such an incomplete sentence.
Well done.
um,
Okay. Next.
next. Let's keep on going.
And guys, as you're in the chat, one thing that you love, are they passing the 3-second test for you? What advice would you give them? What feedback do you have? Remember, we're being respectful and we're talking about one thing they did well, one thing they could do better. Throw it in the chat.
Hmm.
Okay,
Hmm.
what's next?
Vikram. All right, Rao. And apologies to anybody here who does not have or who we're missing name pronunciation on. We're doing our best.
Okay, I would pick a less serious picture where you're smiling.
Hmm.
It makes a surprising difference. I can speak from experience on this one because Morgan hounded me for a while to go and do that. Changed it, saw success. Your banner image is kind of the typical, like the people will throw mountains or they'll throw like a
Hmm.
like kind of like stock imagery. Your banner doesn't say anything. It doesn't help me as the consumer actually categorize you.
Hmm.
Empowering CIOs and CTOs to lead proactive enterprise technology teams and drive their. So what?
Yeah. So, what do you actually do? I mean, that was actually my first impression off of this headline. There's some, I'm sure, marketing strategists would be pleased with all of this, but I actually don't understand what you do. This is nice category here. I understand you do enterprise technology teams, but I don't know what you actually do for them off of this headline.
And even if you're putting yourself in a category as a category in what you're teaching people about in your content, what is that? So even if
Mm,
you're not making a problem statement that's trying to sell me, what about CIOs and CTOs specifically are you looking into the future to build?
hmm.
What about business strategy? What about digital? What in particular? Give us a little bit of something because if we go back to your people also viewed, okay, transformation project management,
Hmm.
group leader at a university, experienced professional. So the market is confused on your 3-second test and they haven't put you into a category, which makes it harder for you to be seen by the right people naturally.
Hmm. Agreed. So right now, I'd look at this. I'd say interesting, and maybe I'd accept a connection request, but I wouldn't scroll right now. There's a bunch of questions in chat about the video profile. Because Vikram, if we refresh this page really quick, there's the image, and then there's an introductory video over it as well.
I
Here's
I, I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
want
yeah.
to touch on that today just because it's hard to go and share with everyone. I think it's an amazing thing to do, and I haven't played with it enough in experiments to say like what works better, if to focus on yourself, like why you. But I can tell you in LinkedIn video, when you tell people a surprising fact or like what amazed you about them, that's what really stands out. So this has to be snappy.
Hmm.
It's almost
And
like a TikTok video.
the other thing that just for everyone to consider, and some of what we were talking about with the smiling photo, is the video doesn't show up anywhere else on LinkedIn. So this is the photo everyone sees when he engages or comments, or when you engage or comment. So it's important to have that photo nailed, because that's actually 90% of the impressions that you're driving.
We got a couple questions. GIFs, yeah, GIFs. If they tell a story, or they add to the story, or they enhance, or it's like one of those, a picture that says 1,000 words. Absolutely. Video in
Hmm.
your image area, you can.
Hmm. As we
Minimal
said.
voice option, all the same. Video stories, good background pictures. Think of the category that you want to be known for,
Hmm.
and stick to that category. What is something that's telling a story and adding to everything else? Even though you're looking for a new job, you're still going to be in a certain role. So think about that role. Think of what it'll stand out, so that your people also viewed will be the roles that you want.
Yep. All right, let's just get through the rest of this profile. Um, so again, I see here in a branded email, but then I don't see any opportunity to engage with that. So it's good to have a post, but again, add in something. And this is awesome to see your activity on the platform.
Oh,
It's clear
amazing.
that you're engaging and commenting and out in the world of LinkedIn, which is awesome. Oh, an account executive. I didn't know that.
And so I want to make this very clear, because you just heard the story that has to happen for us to figure out what you do.
Hmm.
And so we came all the way down. I'll tell you right now, most people won't. They'll give up unless you've warmed them up by commenting and really engaging. You will have not earned the effort to get this far. So we really want to think about that, so that it tells that story. So when we come here, we're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And like right now, it's just your email until Morgan clicks see more. So that's all we're getting. So all of this is lost, and most
Hmm.
people wouldn't even open it.
And that's the other thing. If you're using LinkedIn to prospect, you want this to be clear what your company does and how you help them, which is not currently available. Your About section has some actual. Actually, this is probably pretty good. We sort of surfaced over the About section because I forgot it was at the top of this profile. This is a pretty good story that you're outlining here. Um,
Hey, there you go. All companies are IT companies. What's that mean
mhm,
for you?
mhm,
There you go.
exactly.
There's your tagline.
Yep. And then instead of saying, "Can I help?" reach out to find out how your peers are using, I would formulate a different CTA here. Reach out to find out. I wouldn't actually include the "Can I help?" Um, I would
Yeah,
just stick with the declarative.
most enterprise domains, if like you sent that in an email, would mark it as spam.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay,
All right,
next.
next down the list we go. Greg Wasserman.
Okay.
Okay, so the vibe I immediately got was personal brand.
Yeah.
Did you get that, Nick?
Or life coach.
Yeah. So the reason is this partnerships leader. It's very vague. I'm not sure of your position yet. I like the fact that you're talking more about your position here. Clearly, you're trying to articulate something, and your cover photo has this as well. So if you're doing it as a personal brand play and you're engaging in that way, I might be tempted to scroll, but it's for me not entirely clear what you do.
Okay, let's keep going.
Good engagement, good posting.
Good activity.
Okay, so he's a director of global sales. Ah. So, first impression is we definitely can strike this entire thing. It's no longer needed.
Or keep 3 to 5 if you want to. But I would rather put
Yeah.
a hook on the bottom of things that are about you from 5 to 9, so people have something to talk about.
And also, if you want to use these keywords in a way that leverages the algorithm, which I assume this is what it's about, I would find a way to tell a story that includes it, like a good SEO specialist or like a good content writer. Figure out ways to include this terminology elsewhere instead of just throwing it at the end. Because it sort of comes here, and I look at this, and it's like I don't even know what to do with this chunk of text, honestly.
Like, I see the world in partnership. So now this is getting to your unique point of view. Now we're
Mm-hmm.
getting somewhere.
Yep. And
So
I love this paragraph. This is a very clearly articulated point of view here.
I want to point out, I'm an exceptional leader. That's an opinion that can think critically and apply findings. If you couldn't, you'd be unemployed. That create winning solutions. If you didn't create winning solutions, you'd be unemployed. I'm highly accomplished. If you wouldn't be in your role. But we have to just cut this out.
Mm-hmm.
This is marketing talk.
Mm-hmm.
And so cut the crap. What actually matters? I see the world in partnerships, unique point of view, expand on that. What does that mean? What does that look like? Tell us a story. I see the world in partnerships is like an incredible tagline.
Yes. Yes. Uh-huh.
I
Because
see
there's
the
a
world in partnerships.
mm-hmm. That
Let's
enable
talk.
growth, create value. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
this is to the unexpected and innovative. Like there's a way, and conscious capitalism, like there's a way that you're articulating this point of view that then gets entirely lost in this. And especially if you're trying to prospect for Maple here, it's this is the reason people will pay attention to you, not this.
Yeah. This is
Yeah.
more digital resume,
Yeah.
which is okay. Okay.
Which is fine. Okay.
Next.
On to the next. Boss, I believe. Forgive me if we're mispronouncing names.
SDR. Okay. So I'm gonna go. This doesn't pass the 3-second test. Esports management system. I'm not in that world, so maybe that means something if I was in that world. But if I
Mm-hmm.
turn over and look at developer,
Mm-hmm.
sales manager, content manager, so and then students.
Mm-hmm.
So you're kind of in the right category, but not quite. Okay, let's go look at the about. Also, good headshot. Maybe consider like a bigger smile with teeth. It
Or a
does make a
closer
big
crop.
difference.
Mm-hmm. Or a closer crop, because when it goes small, it's difficult to see your eyes and glasses here. So let me just double check something. All right, so we're junior sales at 22 and probably close right out of college. So this is an early career profile.
A guy that loves to meet new people is always talking about the possibilities for the future. So to me, this says I'm looking to get new jobs,
Mm-hmm.
which is
Which
okay.
which might
But
be the case.
but for what?
Mm-hmm.
So if you had to say, where do you want to be in 5 years, 3 years? Where do you want to be an AE? Do you want to get into management? And kind of make that line. Do you want to stay in like a contributor role and make good money? Do you want to get into leadership? Paint that picture and set yourself up for that story and start telling that story now. And then that way, even when you're picking your daily activities, you're adding those up so that
Mm-hmm.
your bill every day is moving closer towards that. Right now, it's just very light,
Mm-hmm.
great activity,
Great activity. Yep.
but it's not like the 3-second test isn't like, oh, I need that. Or
Right.
oh, like I get so how I look at this is if I look at your profile, I'm like, oh, I know who I could recommend you to. I don't have that right now. And so I encourage you as you're updating this, please just shoot us a message and I will
Mm-hmm.
go and do another review for you.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. On to the next. We're doing rapid fire in this extravaganza today as fast as we can. Okay.
Love is love. Connecting
So
with
obviously Pride Month branding, which love it. And also I'm not entirely clear what you're up to.
going over to people also viewed, learning to the next level,
So
focus
it
with
looks like
consulting.
education is definitely the category. That's what I can tell. Could it be ed tech? Could it be something in that? Maybe. Um, I think the reason that this doesn't hit me right is that organizations can be anybody. So if you're targeting school districts, that's very different than if you're targeting enterprise, Fortune 500s, or if you're doing small businesses, or if you're doing nonprofits. And if you have multiple categories, then it's good to narrow down your focus if you're using LinkedIn to prospect. Learning ecosystem, I'm sure, has something to do with your company, but I also don't know what that is or what that does. So here, I might say yes, I'll connect with you, but I also don't have any real prompt to scroll at this point.
Yeah. Even going into your hashtags, sales enablement,
Hmm.
team development. So, what are you educating on? What
Yep.
category? Sales enablement is different than product knowledge, is different than marketing. Kind of what lane are you putting yourself into? And if we look at your people also viewed, you're not getting stacked amongst the right people.
Right. It's
Let's
mostly
keep
people
going.
on your on your team. So featured again. So this is interesting. This is the first one we've had with an external link, um, which is hrblog.spotify. So that's okay. But it's like, here's a great opportunity to share something about your company if you're using LinkedIn to prospect. Great engagement otherwise.
I want to just go back up for 1 second, Morgan.
Yep.
You guys see where it says post and then it has the little snippet? That's all you get.
Hmm.
Use that real estate wisely and the image. Because
Hmm.
if you miss those, there's no reason to click.
I will say, just for personal sake, I like the personality that this one conveys about Spider-Man. It's just like, oh, you're a real person and you're engaging out here. Like an authentic person, that's like a nice type. And I actually think I saw your recent post, Ashley, about the Tom Cruise type learners out on LinkedIn. So that's cool. Love the activity. Okay, so it looks like a consultative sale who's a team lead at Docebo is the role here. I personally like the Yoda quote, but that's just because I'm a Star Wars nerd. So,
I
like, I
knew you
mean,
were going to say that.
it doesn't mean like it's it was be the way I would write this profile, but it's definitely not a negative.
I like the last bit that you threw in some 5 to 9.
This is really nice.
I like that you're talking about like where your experience has led you and you're
Hmm.
starting to get a bit into a story. I love that you're putting a lot of like you into it.
Hmm. I think where I would work on expanding is this. So even though you're a team lead, I would really look at ways to tell more about what your company does and and the reason you're connecting, because your headline currently says connecting with organizations. Okay, why? Right? And so I have to do the work to figure out why, and the only reason I understand why is that you're looking for those ready for a learning culture shift. So I'd really work on expanding this as part of your key story here in your about, and also thinking about your headline in this manner.
Hmm. Couldn't agree more. I like that
Hmm.
learning culture shift. That's something to dig into.
Yeah, that's like really interesting. Everything else kind of is fluff.
Next.
Okay. Next, Caleb.
RY. Okay.
Okay, yeah, this is enough for me to scroll if I'm in your market. I may not actually accept your connection request based on this headline, but if I visited this profile, I might scroll.
Yeah, I would turn this into a question as like, what would you do if your campaigns had a 99% open rate?
Oh, that's such a good headline. Because right now, the reason we're articulating this, Caleb, and everybody else who's watching, if I got a connection request from you that was blank, I'm expecting a pitch. And
Hmm.
that's because you're using helping leaders drive revenue. It's just this like red flag that I have, that because a lot of salespeople have this sort of lingo in their headline. I'm going to ignore your connection request and I'm not going to view your profile as a result. So I love the what if your campaigns had a 99% open rate, because you have the data to show that.
And if we go over
Hmm.
CMO and CRO,
Okay.
consultant, partner at Healthy Finds, sales
Sales.
manager, business leadership, brand
Somebody in brand
30.
30.
So you're kind of in the marketing world, you're a little bit
Kind
in
of
the
into
sales
sales.
world. And I would ask you, who do you want to be compared against? What do they
Mm-hmm.
have in their profiles? What is similar about all of them? And how do you get them in this people also viewed?
Mm-hmm.
Good job. Also like the colors.
I really, really like the colors. This is very good job, marketing department, and I love your profile photo. It's great, Caleb. I see you did brand 30, so once upon a time. I would definitely keep up your activity. If you're using LinkedIn to prospect, somebody comes here, I want to see your posts and your comments to understand that you're using this for more than just selling or pitching. That would
You
be
have a
another red flag.
Toyota dealership and you're featured. And
Oh,
then you have
yeah.
brand 30, which you're basically took that real estate to promote someone else.
Hmm.
So you're selling for other people that you're not getting any value from. Just something to
Hmm.
consider.
Yeah.
Okay. About
So
section.
let's answer this question from Cynthia that came in the feed as we're answering this about section. A lot of the about sections are very long. Should there be an average on sentence length or key bullet points? So this is obviously one of the shortest ones we've seen today. So I thought this was a great midpoint. What do you think, Nick?
I think it is very hard to keep things short and punchy. And if you can, go for it. I've noticed on LinkedIn that when you do breaks and take advantage of that, people tend to read further. As soon as they see two lines squished together, they typically don't read anymore. This one's a little bit different because it is just so short, but it really depends on that first sentence. I love being the connection between brand and consumer.
Mm-hmm.
Why? And so they might keep reading, but this just tells me that you're going to go and reach out to me. And even the fact that you wrote your quota in there tells me this is more to do with getting hired than it is to help others. So people might not want to connect with you because they feel like they're just going to get connect and pitch or pitch slapped.
Mm-hmm.
Something to think about.
Mm-hmm. And again, like I would, this is the most interesting point of view here for me. What's going on here? I'm actually don't know much about SMS marketing. You could use your profile to help educate prospects about SMS marketing. Why are individualized conversations jumping? What's going on there? Why is attentive in the market? Why does it work? All of those things could be expanded in here. And I agree with Nick. Is there a hard and fast rule about how long it needs to be? No. It should be however long it needs to be to accurately communicate what you do and who you help and what action they should take. And sometimes it's going to be a couple sentences longer than other people. Um, and also, it's the easiest thing to rewrite. So if you change your mind, you can change it at any time.
Let's do it.
Next one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All the way down. Bobby Walker.
Deep Factor develop secure cloud native apps. Okay. Help developers improve their risk. The number one, I'm just going to go and say this out for everyone. The number one complimentary platform
For these others.
according to who?
Mm-hmm.
If it's not your customer saying it, if it's just one, it's like dealerships. We are the number one dealership in this. Like when you don't write number one, nobody cares. Only people that care is maybe leadership. So
Couldn't agree more.
improve their security posture.
So if I was in your market, I might be tempted to scroll down, but actually based on your hashtags more than anything, because Kubernetes is a very niche thing inside the development world, application security as well. I'm not familiar with the terminology in your industry. Security posture could have more meaning than I expect, but um, I'm not entirely sure what deep factor does.
And I would want to know what is your actual customer saying they need, or what are your
Mm-hmm.
actual how does this play into their workflow?
Mm-hmm.
Is I help developers improve. Does somebody go and say to their buddy, "Hey Morgan, I was thinking today as I was working when I was doing some coding, I really need to work on my security posture."
Right. Hey Nick, yeah, I want to improve my security posture. Like I don't think people are actually saying that.
And maybe
Maybe
they
they
are
are.
because it's
Yeah.
not our world.
Hmm.
But 590 followers, definitely something to work on. I would try to. Right now, we're noticing that it's even in the thousand. Like you're kind
Hmm.
of people are really looking at it. And if
Hmm.
we go down to activity, you're posting. Good job.
Hmm.
Nice.
Nice. It's
But
great.
you're resharing and you're not adding a point of view.
Hmm.
Something to consider is good read. Why? Summarize
Hmm.
it, repackage it, and show people your point of view.
All right. So here's a big mistake. Don't do this. So I understand why people do this and throw this stuff in because it'll help the LinkedIn algorithm index your profile. But if somebody visits your profile, what do you want them to do? Ask yourself that. Now, I understand as an SEO, there's maybe a couple competing objectives. Maybe you want them to follow you. Maybe you want to connect with you. So take a prospect. Prospect visits your profile based on cold outreach. What do you want them to know? What do you want them to do? Because right now, if they scroll down, they only see this. And Kubernetes can be anything, and DevOps or DevSecOps can be anything. So this is an opportunity here, and I don't see an about section. and an about section to articulate what is going on at Deep Factor, even as a contract BDR. Because if you're using LinkedIn, which I actually know you guys are, to prospect, people are going to visit your profile and want to know more, and you're creating a lot of barriers for them to understand what you do. Because now they actually have to click Deep Factor, then they have to go to your website, then they have to scroll and read, when you could have done that all for themselves on your profile.
I'll tell you right now that what normally happens when I see a profile like this is I'll look at your profile and you'll try and cold call me or email me because you'll see my profile review as a trigger.
Yeah.
And so I'll even just stay away and I won't even accept your connection request. Just something to consider because right now that's big, the connect and pitch on LinkedIn.
hmm Huge, and will probably only increase. Anything else, Nick?
Next.
Okay.
Nope.
On to Jess V,
Jess V.
SDR at Trainio.
I know. Yeah, the best will come back to you. I don't mind this background, but if it has to come in and factor into your story. If not, it doesn't help you out. Creative writer, lover of books, learning, and education.
So I love all of the personality that this headline communicates. I actually know I probably know more about you based on this headline than any of the profiles we've reviewed today, which I love. And it's also a little bit wordy, and there's a lot of stuff going on in it. So I would look at simplifying it to a few things if you're going to keep a format like this.
I agree. This is a lot of personality. I would just kind of, if you're just connecting with people and you're not necessarily prospecting, this can work in your favor. I would probably go just less is more on this.
Yeah, I would look at so for example, lover of books, learning, and education is great. You can probably strike creative writer if you're trying to maximize space here or minimize space, I suppose. That's just an example. And I know you're with Trainio, so great SDR boot camp. So you're getting everything in order. And I like a lot of the story that your about section is communicating here. I would really take a look at formatting this and maybe even simplifying them, only because it's hard for my eyes to track. So, for example, I actually read this full sentence. I got to here, I skipped to here, and then I skipped to like here. I glossed over this, and then I saw all those words, and I was like, I'm not going to read those. And I saw if there's anything here at the bottom. So
this goes
people
back to Cynthia's question about bullet points. This is what happens is even though it's all there, maybe I'll read 20%.
Right. So it's great to have a story, but if you format it, add some more space, add some bullet points, simplify some of the sentences, you're going to be able to communicate what this communicates more effectively. I saw obviously Jess is very active out on the platform, which is great. And Trainio. Cool. Anything else, Nick?
This actually goes back to Greg. He was just, I'll pull it up. He's basically asking like, well, if I do my experience, maybe I'll put experiences, not jobs. One thing I've seen is the anti-resume. And they'll write the biggest mistakes they made and what they learned from it.
I love that.
The other one is the biggest experiences you had in those jobs and how it made you today. It's kind of the same thing. I love that idea. I've seen it done a couple times where people write 2, max 3 things. And it's actually a powerful way to tell your story because it all lines up start to finish on why you are the uniquely qualified person and why you have the point of view you do.
Yep.
So definitely something to explore.
Cool. On to the next. Yes. Kunal. Okay.
New banner image. I don't.
So yeah, I'm going to guess based on your company, you're at CheckHub. This is fun marketing stuff, but even as a marketer, I wouldn't recommend this cover photo because I have no idea what y'all do.
Helping IT ops teams scale it cost effectively.
So I understand
kind of table stakes.
Yeah, I was about to say I understand the intent here, but if you weren't going to scale them, you were going to scale them cost, inefficiently. Like, what's the opposite of this statement? You want to stake out a position, as Nick has said earlier.
And then growth marketing, equity crowdfunding, business development kind of obscures that more.
Yeah, I'm not really. I would look at this and I'd be like, huh? And maybe I'd move on with my day.
And I'm looking at the people also viewed, and it's kind of throwing me in so many different directions. Let's scroll down and see if it pulls together here.
Okay, so some reshares.
Why are you this?
Go for it, Nick.
When you just reshare blankly, it's a lazy way of just pushing stuff out, and it looks like it's just sales. Honestly, it's just sales garbage from the company. You're basically just a living promo, so there's really no advantage to being connected with you. You need to put your own unique point of view. You need to be a trusted relationship. You need to earn trust at scale, show you're credible. This doesn't show you're credible. It just shows that you're a good listener and you follow orders.
Mm-hmm.
And marketing, it just doesn't help you. Okay, let's go down to about.
Okay, he's an SDR.
I figure that might be. I'm results driven. Marketing, if you weren't results driven, you'd be unemployed. If you weren't passionate about new business opportunities, you wouldn't be in sales. Customers don't really want intimate relationships. They want a business case.
And here's the thing, what Nick is articulating very bluntly, which the reason we're doing this is because we see this all the time. We have reviewed dozens of profiles. So all of us, when we articulate stuff like this, when we're passionate and we want these things, we start to sound like everybody else. The goal of this profile is not to sound like everybody else. The goal is to sound like you and to clearly explain what you do.
And the
So,
best part, he hit in the very end. I am passionate about travel, sports, outdoor activities, learning. Space that out and give more detail.
What do you do to learn about different cultures? Do you travel? Right? Like, tell me more.
Dig in, because that's where people, going back to your intimate relationships, you're not showing it. Show it by diving into those details, so that way people have a real intimate reason to connect with you, that they have that bond by shared experience.
Yes.
Okay, next.
100%. All right. We're just picking up the pace here.
Yeah, sorry.
Nope. Derek Gardner.
It doesn't pass the 3-second test. Talent acquisition SDR. So they're your colleagues. I don't know what you do. This is all about the company. So this is kind of turns into a company. Yeah, this is just a company profile. Next, or keep going down. Activity. Comment.
Very active.
Good job.
That's nice. So here's the thing, actually, and we're not going to get through all of our LinkedIn profiles today, Nick. I want to dwell on here for a second because I see this often. This is so much better to put in your about section, spaced out, than what you currently have. Because the first impression, if I got a connection request from you and I looked at your profile, I'm going to take 3 seconds to look at this and say, he's going to pitch me.
Yep.
And I'm going to decline your connection requests, and I'm not going to pay attention to any emails you send me. So this language here is better because it's about the belief of your company. And I would probably strike this because it's not super important.
I like that.
This is actually interesting.
That's a good one. We take the idea in your head and turn it into an app in your hand.
There,
finally, tagline. You buried it. You buried the lead so deep in here.
Okay. But it was here, and that's what's frustrating. Anyways, all right.
Next.
On to the next. Joshua Cox. So this is the same company, compare and contrast.
Former SDR making a comeback is fun.
It's very fun. I like this a lot. I know in your industry, democratizing development is important if you're doing no-code stuff. This doesn't matter. Because it gets kind of salesy. It's a shadow pitch. I like the questions. I honestly like the way it was articulated better. Though, have an idea, turn it into an app in your hand. Your vision, we just build it, is a little more vague.
I'd almost rather see that. Your vision, we just build it, and have a different an app up on top, and then just have former SDR making a comeback. Something like that.
Actually, this is interesting because your apps made to order sounds like you do custom enterprise app development work. And I'm familiar with that industry. And that's not the case. But your vision, we just build it, is actually what you do. So I would articulate that here.
And this is that whole thing of tell the story as one coherent piece. The problem is when we create profiles, we do one piece at a time. Start a Google Doc, start a Word doc, and go through all of the pieces and create themes. and make sure that theme carries through and that the visuals are telling a bigger story and that your
Mm-hmm.
tagline is adding to that story.
Mm-hmm.
And it's making us want to dive deeper. And this is what we see is that they're all kind of like disjointed because they were all created at different times and they weren't connected.
Yep. 100%. All right.
Next.
Shall we? Giano. Giano Fiore.
Oh, fun.
Okay. Definitely don't do this. I get it. It's funny. It's a meme. It does not add anything.
World's leading sending platform.
So, Sendoso.
Sending what?
Yeah.
Because Facebook sends a lot of memes and LinkedIn sends a lot of posts, and we gotta rein it in a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. So it's interesting because there's clearly two competing things going on here. I know you're on brand 30, and your cover image actually is nothing about Sendoso. It's about your personal brand, I believe. I'm going to see here. Sendoso member. I mean, it's actually not really clear what this is about. And if it's
Tips
related
and
to
tricks.
Sendoso.
Why? What's the problem? Why do they need tips and tricks? There's lots of people on LinkedIn that are putting out tips and tricks.
So this is cool. It's an article, I think. Nice kind of popular posts here. But like if you've got an opportunity to drive traffic or you're using LinkedIn to prospect for Sendoso, like, come on, this is the best place to put that. Very active. All right. Good humor. So if you're making a personal brand play, I don't mind this overall. But this line definitely rubs me the wrong way if you're prospecting on LinkedIn for Sendoso. So I don't know if you have any preferences about balancing that, Nick.
Own your personal brand, but tie everything together. As
Mhm.
as a seller, we are a franchise owner. Pick your franchise wisely, and everything must align with what you sell, or it's disconnected and you look like my cousin trying to hustle shit out of her car. And so when we're doing this, we have to make sure it all comes together nicely so that your everything you're doing is like adding in these layers that are adding to you. But right now it's kind of like a disconnected puzzle and they're like, I want to do a little side hustle to go and make some extra money, but I also have a real job, but I don't. And I'm doing this and I'm doing some personal branding. And I'm not
Yep.
saying just you.
Mm-mm.
I'm saying that this is a lot of what we see on LinkedIn with sellers is they do a lot of different things, but it doesn't connect into a story that is meaningful.
And you have this to kick it off. You've set it up perfectly. It just
Hmm.
isn't executed all the way through.
I would take that construction SaaS SDR and turn that into a story a little bit
Mm-hmm.
more,
Mm-hmm.
get into more detail so that you really highlight your unique point of view. I think that you're like so freaking close to
You're so
like
close.
really standing out.
Mm-hmm.
And it honestly, I think it would take you half an hour and you'd be
Yeah.
there.
Yep. 100% agreed.
Want to do one last one and then we'll call her
Yep.
for the day.
I saw him in the chat. Kenny Martin. All right. So nice up close front photo, and definitely need a cover photo
Mm-hmm.
of something wherever you're at. This doesn't tell me much about what you do. Maybe this is more resume focused. I see you're an SDR at Frontline. I like the engagement, but I would definitely consider maybe your marketing team has info. Maybe there's some way to position a cover image that actually tells people what you do. I see you have Sales Navigator, so you're probably prospecting out here. And this current profile is probably going to get rejected 9 times out of 10 because there's just no clear articulation about why you're reaching out.
Yeah, I would have assumed you're looking for a job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I believe I found my true passion, highly motivated. This is kind of the same thing.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I would work on articulating a headline about the category that you're in, that what Frontline is doing, and then making sure that that's written in the customer's language, the ways that customers are talking, and re-articulating this. I know you're new in the industry, but re-articulating this about some of what we talked about previously is using your past experience, and explaining, adding some story. What were some moments of that help inform where you're at today?
Good activity.
Great activity.
Uh, no featured yet. SDR. Okay. It looks like, yeah, it just looks like you need to change things over. So,
hmm
Kenny, think about who are the thought leaders in your industry that really stand out that you want to be like, that you like the way they portray themselves, you like the content they put out, like we were saying earlier, and see how you can get them into your people also viewed. Look, stack them all together. Find 3 to 5, maybe 10. 5 is
hmm
probably enough. Look at what's all similar with them and then put that into your profile and start building that brand and start sharing that content. Share your experience. You've done good work.
hmm
Tell those stories. Tell them what you've learned. Say how you failed and what it taught you. And then tie it all together with some good visuals and a tagline that says why you, and you're going to do very well.
hmm Couldn't agree more. All right, we are at the hour. Do you want to pull off my screen, Nick, so we can return? Hello, everyone. If we did not get to your name today and you submitted on Nick's post earlier this week, you will get a review from us. It's just not going to be on this live show. But thank you, yay, to everyone who submitted their names today and who were willing to put their profile through our gaze in front of everybody else. It means a lot. It's why we do these live shows, and it's why we continue to host B2B Power Hours, is to help the sales community. I just want to say, for everyone who's still with us, we went through so many experiments on our profiles. All of our profiles at one point looked a lot like the profiles that we reviewed today.
Absolutely.
And mine was not, I will say that mine was, if you want to see some marketing BS, mine was the marketing BS profile. So I say all of this out of like learned wisdom of what we figured out has worked.
Yeah, the good, better, best applies to us. And I
hmm
wouldn't even say we started out at good. Like
I
I
would, I
ugh.
don't think so.
So just know, guys, this is a journey. It is what we all go through. We start out as a digital resume, then we look like this highly promotional spam reel, and then we turn into this resource center. That's
hmm
kind of how it works. Think of where the people that you want to be stacked against, look at the people also viewed, and take the time to get the right people in there. And that will naturally allow you to come up in the conversations that you want. And this is when you stop working hard and you start working smart. You still have to work hard.
I mean,
It
there's
just
still like, yeah.
you're making better bets, and you're making every post, every day, every piece come together to something bigger.
hmm
And Morgan, like we always say, right?
hmm
It's 2022. Nobody needs to suffer in silence. If you guys need help with your profiles, with your social selling, with your sales prospecting, because you feel like you're alone and nobody's there to support you, our DMs are open.
hmm
Message us.
Message us.
We are here for you, and we'd be happy to give you resources. We'd be happy to point you in the right direction. And we really appreciate you taking the time to listen to us today. So thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone. Happy Friday. See you around.
If you're bored
Bye.
this weekend,
Oh,
b2bpowerhour.com is pretty
yeah.
cool too.
Yeah.
Take care, everyone. Bye.